Hey guys, and welcome back to Smart Money Minds. In today's video, I'm going to be going over areas of Confluence or Confluence trading. This is something I use regularly in my trading career, and we're going to be going through what it is, how we can spot it, and why it is important for your trading career. So what area of Confluence is, it's an area of strong support or resistance zone that was hit multiple times. And a lot of times that support zone can be a new resistance, or vice versa. A previous resistance can now be a support zone. It's also in a zone of prices where multiple indicators start to line up. So for example, in an impulse move, so a bull move up, when it comes back down, it could come back to a Fibonacci retracement level, which is very clear. It could be hitting an EMA or a lower Bollinger Band area. So it could be hitting like a volume climax as well in that one zone. And this is not exactly the same as just understanding supports and resistance, because supports and resistance sometimes is just a specific price where it double tops or triple tops or double bottom, etc. But this is a zone where it could be within a range of, a couple dollars. Let's say in $100 stock, it could be a range within, $3 to $5. That's where the zone where a lot of trading or a lot of support or resistance becomes. So how do we spot these areas of confluences? There's constant reversals at these points. So it's very similar to just resistance or supports. So supports, it could constantly head back down and then bounce in that level and bounce multiple times. It could be, the next thing was that it could be a breakout as a resistance now acting as support, which I will show you in a couple of examples coming up soon. This area usually gives you about 3 to 5, if not more touches, that becomes a very clear area that shows you that this area is constantly being traded at. And if it breaks over that zone or breaks below that zone, then you usually see some very significant volume that pushes it over that area of confluence. Then you know it's a clear breakout. Why it's important to know the areas of confluence is because it gives very clear resistance and support zones for trading reversals or for when you buy on consolidation. It can also act as a target exit area as well. If it starts approaching that area of confluence, that could be your exit zone. It's a high probability play as well, because generally multiple indicators, technical indicators, are advising you that that area is giving a sort of signal for you to either buy up or sell. And it gives you a very clear stop level, which is usually below the area of a confluence. And it's a low risk, clear stop play. So it's really good for your risk to reward. So the three examples that I'm going to show you is AMD, DBX, which is Dropbox, and ROBLOX. The first one I'm going to show you is ROBLOX, which is RBLX here. And it's a very relatively new stock. It had its IPO in March the 10th of this year. So it hasn't even been around for a year yet, but yet there's a very clear zone of confluence. What happened here? Let's take a look. This was resistance right here. This was a break over resistance. You see the volume increased a little bit here, broke over, but unable to sustain it, came back down, tried again one more time, and broke down. And it tried to hit back up at 77 zone right here, and failed again. 80 zone, once again. 78, once again. So you see this zone has constantly been an area of resistance between $77 to about $80. And what we see here is finally we had a bit of a pattern of an ascending triangle. And from here, note the volume that actually pushed and broke over and continued the trend. And once it broke over the zone, look at the breakout right here. That was a major breakout. So we had a, let's see here, we had a like almost a 30% move here from this area of confluence. And from here, let's take a look. Once it topped out, it came back down, and look at exactly what happened here again. 77.80 zone right here. That's where the support got bought up. That's where, if you look at the 1 hour zone here, that's when you start getting the RSI bullish divergence, right? Prices are heading lower. This is heading back up. You get the resistance zone here. This was previous resistance, now acting as support. And look at the drive right back up, right over here. Now we're gonna look at Dropbox. So in this drop off here in August 2019, we hit $17, okay? So from what I'm seeing is around $16 to $17 here. This is the area of Confluence for support. We hit the lows. This is where it bounced. It came back down. Look at this lower wick right over here where it hit $16, okay? And it instantly got bought up, okay? It came back up here, $16, hit again, $16.63. Now it pushed up. From this area, what I'm going to show you is a new area of confluence in resistance, okay? So this pushed up really nicely. Look at the bull volume of earnings, okay? So this created this zone right over here. That is where most of the trading starts to happen. Came right back down, okay? It broke the area of confluence here very clearly, but it did trade very erratically in this zone. And what we start to see is we start to form a range between these two areas right here. So let's take a look right here. Look, it starts to form a range right in this zone here where it doesn't really go anywhere. And I drew out a secondary area of confluence because that came into play later on around this $20 to $22 zone right here. Because even though it traded between this zone here, it still traded within this smaller zone right here as well. And once it broke out, and note the breakout volume here, see how that broke out volume? See this breakdown volume where it broke through this secondary area of confluence? It broke over, and look what happened. 21, 21, 21, 22. This area became support, where it was resistance right over here. Now it is now support. And now it traded between this range. And look at the push. The bull volume stayed consistent throughout here, thus reaching a new zone. And look at exactly what happened. 24 zone right here, back testing. Look at the resistance, now acting as support before the next leg up. And our last example is AMD here. Look at this steady uptrend on the weekly even. This is a weekly chart dated all the way back to September the 10th, and that's where our first point of confluence comes. Okay, so we had $34, $35, $34 to $36, I would say. And look at the 3 points here. Resistance, resistance. It kept going on the uptrend. The breakout volume here isn't that significant, but notice the term of the bull volume. Look at the bear volume here was very low compared to the rest of the bull volume that came in. This was a steady maybe 14 weeks of bulls, and thus that drove the prices up to a new area of confluence, which was the $58 to $60 zone right here. So once again, this traded within this range for a while, but because it continued to uptrend, we consolidated, took its time, and then another volume push. Boom, to the next level of confluence. Notice that this was a support zone all the way through. This is a resistance zone all the way through. It didn't come back down. So generally, if it's a good area of confluence, it would come back down, back test 60 zone and then head back up into this area. That didn't quite happen, but we do have a very clear support zone right here at 72.73. So it's very easy to make a play with low risk. So for example, how you play AMD is you can always short when it hit 35. And that is generally a good place to be because that was the resistance zone. And now look at what happened here. This was a buying zone because you could see that a couple of indicators lined up. So for me, what I would have done is pulled a Fibonacci retracement. This would have been around the, if you take a look here, right off the golden pocket, 0.618, approaching lower Bollinger Band on the weekly. Okay, and that would have been a great zone to buy up. It became a doji candlestick too. So multiple indicators telling you that this is a zone to buy up. You can set your stop below 34 or 33, and that's a low risk, high reward play right here. And you could sell at this target zone around 59. And if you, let's say, look at ROBLOX here, I actually had an alert here for retest support buy zone at $77. 73 cents, which didn't hit because I would have bought right here, and this was what I was eyeing as well. This is a real life scenario where I was looking for a back test of this zone. I didn't want to buy too early, so I wanted a back test around this range here at the lower part of the area of confluence, the AOC, and buy here. Set a stop maybe at around this range here, around I would say 73 to 74 zone, just below the AOC. So it could extend, right? Like something similar to this, where it extended, but it came right back down and back within the back below the AOC as resistance. So that would have been a perfect move. And from here, if I did buy at 77, if it went down from there, that would have been a, let's see here, that would have been a move from here all the way to about 20% gain right here to about $94. And this is why I talk about area of confluence. AOC is very, very important technical term to understand, because as you see here, there's multiple ranges that you play within, and you see that this is a separator between this zone here, and now you know that this was acting as resistance, this is acting as support. It's very clear where you can buy and where you should be selling. In the comments below, let me know if you use areas of confluence and do you find them useful yourself? Let me know. And if you enjoy more of these educational videos, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel here at SmartMoneyMinds, and we'll see you guys next time.